Timism, the periodic table of existence, how economics and politics fit in. Economics is a clouded level on the periodic table of existence. Economics straddles several levels of the periodic table of existence. Its role is to guide people in the management of their affairs, individually and collectively. Its interlocking role with politicians greatly affects whether people are productively or destructively engaged in the use of their time. Economics has a long history, longer than democracy. Both originated in Greece. Economics is Greek for home management. As homes expanded into larger communities, economics acquired the expanded meaning of environmental laws, ecos nomos. Democracy developed when people's home management suffered from others not managing their own homes productively, thieves rather than farmers. While the most common meaning of democracy is people rule, the roots really mean dividing up people to work. Good economics goes hand in hand with good public policy making to ensure that all have both the right and responsibility to earn an honest living without illegal or legal theft. Economics is a dismal science because the vast majority of economists and politicians argue and vote for an invisible hand to control the markets. This invisible hand is one of greed and theft, for the politicians legalize private theft each time they give an unproductive tax or business privilege. Of course, privilege is Latin for private law. A history of economics is a study of theft, a theft of other people's time. Timism provides insights into how the cherished invisible hand of the marketplace is a greedy, selfish hand of theft. Using, and it's legal, is ill defense when you have corrupt, habitual politicians passing laws to enrich their campaign contributors. The first step in stopping the massive expanding legal thievery and slavery is understanding how it is a theft of other people's time. Time is in your face if you consider the semantic origin of the glue that holds an economy together, of the oil that lubricates the wheels of production, of the blood that keeps a healthy economic body, namely currency. Currency derives from the expression, what is your time currently worth? Of course, plebeians say time is money, money is time. Heretofore, during recorded history, there has never been a true currency, because currencies have not been subject to the timistic clutter cutter. One's current worth is the difference between the clock time one spends in solving a problem and the human time that the problem wastes. If one spends 1 clock hour to solve a 2-hour problem, an hour of time has been saved or created. One can say that one has led forward his life. That is, one is productive, which is Latin for forward leader. Producia. Productivity is the ratio of real clock time in solving problems compared to the time created by solving the problem. Productivity is a very important existential fact. It is a simple fact, ignored by complex economists. Oh, they are aware of it, like a prolific AIDS-infected streetwalker who knows about prophylactics but does not practice safe sex. Regardless of our textbooks, schools, and legalities, this fact is the bedrock for a vibrant economy. Breaking it down into sand upon which to erect edifices is no foundation for a lasting civilization. It is this ignored fact behind the criticism that economists know the price of everything but the value of nothing. Restated, currency should capture and store the time created or saved when a problem is solved. Currencies are called currencies because they are supposed to reflect one's worth in currently solving time-wasting problems. Time and profits. If you are honest with your words, you can escape time in qualifying what is and isn't a profit. Readily, a burglar does not have a profit. Less clear are the incomes on Wall Street. Does the action create or destroy time? Profits exist when one's time has gone forward, and that is the meaning of profit in Latin. Forward existence, time, pro esse. One does not have profits if one wastes time. If one takes 2 hours to solve a 1-hour problem, then one is a loser of time. A true profit reflects the forward time of all parties affected by the transaction of human activity. Q2 of E equals MC squared. A true profit is the optimal sharing of the time savings between the problem solver and problem sufferers. It's a simple rule, one that has been espoused in philosophy and religion, the golden rule. A true profit is the golden mean between the extremes. A true profit exists when the time savings is evenly split 50-50 between the problem solvers and problem sufferers. Because the symbols of our problem-solving time, currency or money, have not been tied to the substance of our problem-solving time, great theft has not only occurred, but has been occurring at an increasing rate in recent years. The progression from substance to symbols of wealth can be seen in the last century. Initially, the U.S. used silver dollars before migrating to the more portable and efficient silver certificates that could be redeemed in silver, to Federal Reserve notes that are redeemable in political promises. The words and deeds of habitual politicians in organizing our tax and business laws determine the value of symbols of wealth, for these symbols are worth no more than our time at work in solving problems, the real substance of wealth and worth. Inflation has been an economic problem throughout history. For most people and economists, inflation is a cheapening of money. But inflation of money is an index of cheapening something far greater than symbols. Inflation indexes a cheapening of life. Within economics, the focus on the symbols instead of substance has led to the recurring economic monster of inflation. Since symbols of wealth were first introduced as the common intermediate product by which producers exchange work over distance or time, the symbols have been subject to manipulation to let the manipulators get more wealth. In the past, inflation occurred when the hereditary or habitual politicians debased coinage with cheaper metals. For example, gold and silver with copper and tin. As precious metals were replaced with paper money, politicians would try to solve problems by excessive printing. The hyperinflation of Germany in the 1920s is an offside example of inflation. Some people, including Nobel laureates in economics, say that inflation is only a money thing. This is like saying your house is cold because you have a bad thermometer, when you really have bad heating, bad insulation, or bad economists. Before money or currency was introduced into human commerce, inflation existed for a simple reason. Inflation from debasing coins or counterfeiting money is a cheapening of time, specifically a cheapening of the time that someone worked so as to exchange their goods and services for the symbol of problem solving. Every time that someone steals from you, you are a victim of inflation, whether that theft is legal or illegal, visible or invisible. Your life has been cheapened. Inflation, the cheapening of work time, occurred and does occur when a thief steals one's goods, the symbol of one's time at work. As an existential phenomenon of which economic inflation is one example, inflation occurs every time a politician legalizes someone to get overpaid by tax or business policy. Economic policies based on quantities of money rather than quality of work time are primitively inadequate or modernly corrupt. Managing economic activity only on the basis of quantities rather than qualities of money is a prescription for more time-wasting problems with more of the symbols of wealth, inflation. Something is wrong when executives of failing companies with multi-billion-dollar bankruptcies make off with hundreds of millions and, in some cases, billions of dollars. They are stealing our time. Overpaid executives are an example of inflation. More money with fewer goods and services. They cause inflationary suffering for many. Notice the person at the bottom of this chart who received $500 million in the healthcare industry. To stop the inflationary cost of healthcare would require stopping astronomical inflationary pay. Of the executives who are ripping off naive stock buyers, it is appropriate to ask, where's the beef? Where's the profits?
Payroll systems are in the dark ages. Like everyone, CEOs should not be overpaid. Humanity needs a compensation system in which the symbols of wealth and the substance of wealth are the same.
When symbols and substance of problem-solving time are the same, we will have another semantic irony and equality. Wealth and worth have the same semantic origin. Wealth does not equal worth when one can buy politicians for a government transfer of wealth through taxes or business. Welfare. With Timism, one can see the great wealth in parallel to the worth of humble human beings. Part of Timism is the life hour, an electronic unit of worth based on problem solving. In theory and eventual practice, the life hour is a unit of currency that transcends the boundaries of nations and centuries. Like the speed of light, it is constant anywhere or anytime. Its value is relative to the productivity or profitability of the individual's use of his or her time. This compensation system was designed and tested in the early 1990s as touch-tone manager. With compensation reform based on uniting symbols with substance of problem solving, corporate executives will be paid what they are worth, and happy smiling workers will be more than posed for corporate press releases. If we don't develop a compensation in which all are paid what they are worth to life and to the living, then we will continue the rule of the jungle, with wealth going to the biggest thief, buying politicians and economists. Habitual politicians have increasingly destroyed and darkened the value of people's time, with obfuscations of truths and dissembling of lies that are buried and lost in political pork, where a few's time is overpaid by robbing the many. The greater the theft of other people's time, the greater the ensuing chaos and retribution. Time management is what politicians do. Business and tax laws guide and direct people into the use of their time. If you can get paid 10 times as much for doing the same thing in a different job, you will change jobs. What happens when tax and business laws give more symbols of wealth for doing less problem solving? We will all live in a world with more problems as the best and the brightest are drained from industries and nations. Overcharging for one's time under a public law is a mistake that politicians have repeatedly legalized throughout history. Before long, the economy has fewer problem solvers while problems increase. Problems are called problems because they waste time, like a farmer or a murderer. A politician's productivity can be positive or negative. What happens when politicians organize people to want something for nothing and to waste time? There is nothing. There is no time. The federal government is at the top of the political food or time chain, as shown by states repealing their estate taxes after the Bush no-death tax farce. The national habitual politicians determine if America is running out of time. It is. Education productivity is the return that taxpayers receive for investing their time as taxes. Each graduate is a time producer or destroyer. Each graduate has the task of solving problems, including taking care of the previous generation of workers. This graph shows that the time invested into each generation of students has had lower productivity. We have more problems with less capable problem solvers. While parents and teachers have a share of the blame, they get to miss leadership and ear funding from the politicians. How many educators have gone into Wall Street paper playing because politicians give tax and business credits to paper pushers? When politicians make good policy, the polity and the polis will be polite without police. If the productivity, the creation of time, were fairly rewarded, lawyers would be in jail, politicians would be in purgatory, and economists would be in hell. Negative time deserves negative time. Politicians have their closet speeches that they bring out for each election. Politicians are able to do this because citizens spend more time and money on entertainment than they do on politics. Citizens spend more time and money on a restaurant menu than they do on a ballot. One affects hunger for a meal, the other affects hunger for a lifetime. All work and no politics make Jack and Jill poor taxpayers with no pensions, no security, no health care, no jobs, and eventually no food. If you think Sisyphus had it bad, imagine the person who gets weaker with each attempt to get over the hump, climbing less and less with each day of effort. All work and no politics make Jack and Jill broke taxpayers with no health care and no retirement. If you want your time to be worthless, put less time into politics. We have no time to waste. Humanity is suffering an existential meltdown because the economists and politicians are not fostering profitable transactions between human beings. If you don't make bearable sacrifices while you have the time and money, your future will have unbearable suffering.